video. It's about 30 seconds, and I'll ask you a couple questions about it.
You guys are disgusting, man. Hey, you guys are disgusting. I'm former law enforcement. You're disgusting. You are the Nazi. You are the Gestapo. You can't see it because you're chasing your pins.
6 days earlier, she had posted it on social media like a warning. If you come for law enforcement, the Trump administration will come for you. Bold, direct. The kind of statement designed to project strength, to communicate that the Attorney General of the United States stood with police, stood with order, stood on the side of those who protect and serve. That was 6 days ago. Then Congressman Joe Neguse from Colorado pressed play on a video in the House Judiciary Committee hearing room, and everything Pam Bondi had said about law enforcement became a lie. She could not explain. The video was 30 seconds long. Police body cam footage from January 6, 2021. A man screaming at officers, calling them disgusting, calling them Nazis, calling them the Gestapo, and then audible over the chaos, 3 words yelled at police who were defending the Capitol: kill them, kill them, kill them. The video ended. The room went silent, and Joe Neguse looked directly at Pam Bondi and asked the question everyone watching knew was coming, but no one expected her to answer honestly. That man works for you now, doesn't he? What happened in the next 7 minutes was not a policy disagreement or a partisan back and forth about interpretation or priorities. It was a complete meltdown. The Attorney General of the United States caught hiring someone who had yelled "kill them" at police officers, refusing to answer basic questions about how many people worked in key departments of the Justice Department she led, attacking the congressman asking the questions, pivoting wildly to unrelated topics, and eventually provoking Neguse to do something almost unheard of in congressional hearings. Turn to the chairman and demand he gain control of his own witness. If you want to understand how far accountability has collapsed in Washington, watch this video to the end. Because what Joe Neguse exposed in 7 minutes was not just one bad hire or one uncomfortable question. It was a systematic dismantling of the parts of the Justice Department specifically designed to investigate corruption in government. The public integrity section that investigates crooked politicians, gutted from 35 people to 2. The cryptocurrency enforcement team that investigates financial crimes and digital assets, eliminated entirely while the president holds $1.4 billion in crypto. And when asked about any of it, the Attorney General could not defend her decisions. She could only attack the person asking. Subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because this hearing produced multiple explosive moments and this is just one of them. February 11, 2026, House Judiciary Committee, Rayburn House Office Building. The hearing had been running for over 2 hours. Pam Bondi had spent most of that time deflecting Democratic questions about the Epstein files, about redactions that exposed victims while protecting powerful men, about the Trump administration's use of the DOJ as a weapon against political enemies. She had been combative from the start, interrupting, refusing to answer directly, pivoting to attacks on previous Attorney General Merrick Garland or crime statistics in Democratic districts, standard evasion tactics, but nothing had prepared her for what Joe Neguse had queued up. Neguse is not a bomb thrower. He is a former impeachment manager who prosecuted Donald Trump during the second impeachment trial. He is a constitutional lawyer who clerked for the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. He is a methodical questioner who builds cases step by step with evidence, never making claims he cannot support with documentation. He does not grandstand. He does not perform for cable news clips. He documents. He builds records. He asks questions he already knows the answers to because he has done the homework. And when his turn came after the committee returned from a floor vote recess, he opened not with a speech about values or principles or the state of democracy. He opened with a video that would make all of that unnecessary. Attorney General Bondi, Neguse began, 6 days ago you posted online, and I quote, "If you come for law enforcement, the Trump administration will come for you," end quote. I want to show you just a brief video. It is about 30 seconds and I will ask you a couple of questions about it. He pressed play. The screens around the hearing room filled with police body cam footage. A man in the crowd outside the Capitol on January 6th, yelling at officers trying to hold the line. "You guys are disgusting, man. You guys are disgusting. Former law enforcement. You are disgusting. You are the Nazi. You are the Gestapo. You cannot see it because you are chasing your pension, right? Pension. Your retirement. Right? That is what runs your life. Your retirement. The sad thing is they are not even going to get their pension. Shame on you. Shame on you." The video cut off. Neguse let it sit for a moment. Then he asked the first question. "Attorney General Bondi, that man works for you now, right?" Bondi looked genuinely confused, or performed confusion. It was hard to tell. Who was that congressman? The man in that video, Neguse said, his voice calm but carrying an edge. The one who was in the police-worn body cam footage. The one allegedly yelling "kill them" at police officers on January 6th. His name is Jared Wise. There are moments in congressional hearings where a witness can pretend not to know, can claim they need to review records, can say they are not familiar with every employee in a department of thousands. This was not one of those moments, because Jared Wise is not just any employee. He is a senior advisor. He works directly in the Justice Department's inner circle, and Pam Bondi knew exactly who he was. He does work for us, Bondi said. Neguse repeated it back to make sure it was in the record. He works for you, at the Department of Justice. Yes, he does, Bondi confirmed. And then Neguse laid out exactly who Jared Wise is, and what he did before Pam Bondi hired him. This is an individual whom a federal grand jury indicted for 2 felonies and 4 misdemeanors related to his participation in the attack on January 6th. One of those charges was forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, and interfering with police, with the intent to commit another felony. This is who you choose, as the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States of America, to hire at the Department of Justice. Someone on video yelling "kill them" at police officers, right? Stop right here. If you have been following this story and you are starting to understand the scale of what just happened, like this video right now, the algorithm decides who sees this and people need to know. Drop a comment, because what Bondi said next is when the wheels started coming off. I believe he was pardoned by President Trump, Bondi said, as if that explained everything. Neguse did not let it slide. Oh, he was pardoned. You are right. You are right. Pardoned by President Trump for his offense. Pardoned for yelling "kill them" at police officers. And yet you expect hard-working police officers across the country to believe that you take law enforcement seriously. You could imagine the reaction of so many folks across the country hearing the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States refuse to even condemn what that individual whom you have now hired did. Bondi had no response, because there was no response. The hypocrisy was undeniable. 6 days ago she posted that if you come for law enforcement, we come for you. Today she was defending hiring someone who called police Nazis and told a mob to kill them. The pardon did not erase the video. It did not change what Jared Wise did. It just meant he would not go to prison for it. And apparently in Pam Bondi's Justice Department, it also meant he was qualified to work there. But Neguse was not finished. He had more. And this is where the hearing went from uncomfortable to completely unhinged. Let me talk a little bit about some of the other divisions within the Department of Justice and what has happened over the last year, Neguse said. You are familiar with the Public Integrity section of the DOJ's Criminal Division. I think it is referred to as PIN. Is that right? PIN is the part of the Justice Department that investigates corruption, government officials who abuse their power, bribery, fraud, the kind of crimes that undermine public trust in institutions. It was created after Watergate under President Gerald Ford specifically to hold powerful people accountable, and it is one of the most important units in the entire DOJ. Yes, Bondi said. Okay, Neguse continued. Do you know which presidential administration under which PIN was first created? It was a straightforward question, a factual question, the kind of question any attorney general should be able to answer or at least admit they do not know. Bondi chose neither option. I can tell you what administration the weaponization was ended under. Bondi shot back, her tone defensive and combative. Neguse tried to reclaim his time. I will reclaim my time. This was not a trick question, but Bondi was not done. You do not get to reclaim your time, she said, raising her voice. The room erupted. Chairman Jim Jordan banged the gavel. Ranking Member Jamie Raskin intervened. Madam Attorney General, the time belongs to the gentleman from Colorado. Neguse, maintaining his composure, simply stated the fact Bondi refused to acknowledge. The president under which PIN was created was Gerald Ford. It was created after Watergate. I am not asking you a question, Madam Attorney General. The administration under which it was created was Gerald Ford. And then he delivered the punch. When you first started as the Attorney General of the United States, there were 35 people working in that office. There are now 2 people working in that office, because you have gutted it. 35 to 2. The Public Integrity section, the office designed to investigate corruption in government, reduced by 94% under Pam Bondi. That is not a reorganization. That is not streamlining. That is dismantling the part of the Justice Department that is supposed to investigate people like her. But Neguse was not done. He moved to the next question, and this is where Bondi completely lost control. How many people work for the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team in the Criminal Division today? Simple question. Straightforward. the kind of oversight question Congress is supposed to ask and attorneys general are supposed to answer. Bondi refused. Can I answer the question about PIN? She asked, trying to go back to the previous topic. I have asked you a question, Neguse said firmly. How many people work? You have asked me a question but you do not know the answer. Bondi interrupted, her voice rising. How many people work for the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team? Bondi would not answer. Instead she tried to pivot, to attack, to deflect. The room descended into chaos. Neguse and Bondi talking over each other. Raskin asking the chairman to stop the clock because the witness was wasting time. Jordan looking helpless. And then Neguse did something remarkable. He stopped trying to get answers from Pam Bondi entirely. You know what? Actually, you know what? I will say to the chairman, what is funny about this? You know what the answer is. And I think I understand why the Attorney General does not want to answer the question. Because you eliminated the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team last year. So I understand why you do not want to tell the American people who works there. No one works there. And then Neguse turned to Jim Jordan directly. I might as well ask the chairman these questions because the Attorney General will not answer them. The questions I have asked, Neguse continued, his frustration now audible, are not trick questions. They are not gotcha questions. They are actually basic questions about how the Department of Justice functions, and the unwillingness of this Attorney General to answer them in good faith. When a member of Congress asks how many people work at the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team and the Attorney General refuses to answer, it is not a coincidence. It is because she eliminated the team. And then Neguse said why. Why would the Attorney General eliminate the team designed to investigate cryptocurrency crime? Because her boss, the President of the United States, is making money hand over fist. $1.4 billion over the course of the last year through cryptocurrency holdings. Let that sink in. The President has $1.4 billion in cryptocurrency assets. The Attorney General who works for him shuts down the team, designed to investigate cryptocurrency crime. And when Congress asks about it, when a member exercises constitutional oversight authority to ask how many people work in that office, she refuses to answer, not because the information is classified, not because it involves ongoing investigations, because the answer is zero, and the reason is Trump's financial interests. I think what is happening at the Department of Justice is a disgrace, Neguse said, looking directly at Chairman Jordan, and I would urge you to gain control of this hearing. The request was unprecedented. You do not ask the chairman to control their own witness unless that witness has become so uncooperative, so hostile, so unwilling to engage with basic oversight that normal hearing procedure has completely broken down. That is what Pam Bondi had forced, not through legitimate claims of privilege or classification, through tantrums and deflection and personal attacks. The room was silent, not because Bondi had a good answer, because she had no answer at all. She had spent 7 minutes refusing to respond to basic questions, attacking the questioner, deflecting to unrelated topics, and eventually provoking a sitting member of Congress to bypass her entirely and address the chairman instead. Here is what you need to understand about what just happened. This was not theater. This was not theater. This was documentation. Neguse came with video evidence of a January 6th rioter Bondi hired. He came with numbers showing she gutted the public integrity section from 35 to 2. He came with proof she eliminated the cryptocurrency enforcement team, while Trump made $1.4 billion in crypto. And when asked about any of it, Bondi could not defend it. She could only attack. That is not how an attorney general behaves when they have defensible positions. That is how someone behaves when they have been caught and have no explanation that will make it better. Share this video right now. What Joe Neguse did, methodically exposing corruption while Bondi melted down, is what oversight is supposed to look like. The hearing continued for hours after that exchange. Other Democrats pressed Bondi on Epstein files, on redactions that exposed victims while protecting powerful men, on Trump's lawsuits demanding hundreds of millions from the government he now controls. She deflected every single question, attacked questioners by name, pivoted to crime statistics in their districts, praised Trump as the greatest president in American history, a phrase she repeated multiple times, as if saying it enough would make the questions go away, refused to apologize to Epstein survivors, sitting directly behind her in the gallery, wearing white, survivors who had asked through their representatives for the basic dignity of an acknowledgement of what the DOJ's failures had done to them. She would not give them that. But the Neguse exchange was different from all of those moments, because it was not about interpretation or competing values, or who deserved sympathy. It was about numbers that could not be spun. 35 people in public integrity reduced to 0 people on the cryptocurrency enforcement team. $1.4 billion in Trump's cryptocurrency holdings. And a January 6th rioter who yelled "kill them" at police officers now collecting a government paycheck at the Justice Department. Subscribe and hit the bell. More moments from this hearing are coming. More documentation of how far institutions have fallen. This is not the end. 6 days ago, Pam Bondi posted that if you come for law enforcement, the Trump administration will come for you. Today she sat in a congressional hearing and defended hiring someone who told a mob to kill law enforcement. The cognitive dissonance is complete. The hypocrisy is documented, and Joe Neguse made sure it is in the congressional record forever.